Today we're talking about 5 incredibly sweet, common fruits that help fight diabetes. But first, let me tell you a little story. In my clinic, I have this patient who comes in. He's 78 years young, and he comes in and he's complaining of terrible back pain. And so I examine him and try to figure out what's going on and where the pain is coming from. So I say, "Hey, are you doing anything different than you normally do? Because the pain's in his lower back. Are you doing anything different than you normally do?" And he says, "Well, yeah, I started going up the hill every morning to get the mail." And I said, "How far up the hill?" He said, "About halfway up the hill." And I said, "How far up the hill did you used to go when you were younger?" He thought about it for a second. He said, "All the way to the top." So the point is that just because we get older doesn't mean we have to slow down. It means that we just need to do things a little bit differently. So today, we're going to be talking about how certain fruits can help with diabetes. But let's first talk about why it's important to control your blood sugar or your diabetes. Well, when you have high blood sugar, especially in type 2 diabetics, your body starts developing insulin resistance. Well, your body sees all this excess glucose in your blood, and it is trying to push it into your cells, but your cells are kind of resisting it coming in, so it tries harder and harder and harder. And when your body tries harder and harder and harder, guess what happens? The receptors downregulate or become less sensitive. So now the communication between your receptor and your cell becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. So one of the things that can happen is you start getting more inflammation in your joints. And the next thing you know, you develop arthritis. You start getting microinflammation in your eyes. The next thing you know, you develop vision problems. You start getting inflammation in your kidneys. The next thing you know, you develop kidney disease, inflammation in your nerves, peripheral neuropathy, and inflammation in your heart and vessels. Next thing you know, you develop cardiovascular disease. So the whole idea is if we can keep your blood sugars down, then we don't have all these complications. So let's dive right into the 5 fruits. No one is mango. Mango has a lot of sweetness, but it also has a lot of fiber and a lot of water. So it tends to fill you up and it slows down the absorption of the sugar. In fact, studies show that people that consume mango have a lower incidence of having diabetes, and also their blood sugars tend to run a little bit lower. The next fruit is sapodilla. Is really sweet, like caramel, almost like scooping pure brown sugar into your mouth. However, sapodilla is very low on the glycemic index. What does that mean? That means that it won't spike your blood sugars. Also, it has anti-diabetic properties in the leaves and the stem and the seeds. And so if you ever get a chance to try sapodilla, definitely do it. The next fruit is lychee. Lychee has been known to decrease the blood sugars in diabetic animals, especially if you combine lychee with a healthy fat source such as coconut oil. Then the 4th fruit is longan. Is a little bit drier than lychee, but it has that similar sweetness. And the cool thing about longan is not only is it great for your blood sugars, but it's also great for your brain. There's something in longan that supports memory and cognitive function. And lastly, we have a fruit called durian. Now you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, durian is stinky. How can it be good for my blood sugars? Well, there's 2 things about durian. One is that it has a lot of fiber in it, which will help blunt the absorption of glucose in your small intestine. And secondly, they did a study taking 30 individuals. Half of them they gave them durian, and half of them they gave them no durian. And they found that in the group that consumed durian, they had a significant decrease in their blood sugars compared to the group that did unconsume any durian. So not only is durian good for your blood sugars, but it's also good for your mood, it's good for your sleep, and it's even good for your libido. But let us talk about a couple other things that you can do to help support your blood sugars. Okay, well, number one is apple cider vinegar. A lot of times, people take apple cider vinegar and dilute it in water and drink it before their meal, and that helps to decrease the glycemic response of that meal. Okay, so what that means is that you eat a meal after you've had some apple cider vinegar, and it actually lowers the impact of that meal on your blood sugars. So it is very helpful to take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water before you eat a meal. Number two, cinnamon. Cinnamon has been known to help lower blood sugars as well as help improve the symptoms of prediabetes. In fact, adding cinnamon to your food can help reduce your blood sugars anywhere from 10 to 29%. So it's pretty powerful stuff. Now, you might be saying, great, I love cinnamon. How much cinnamon should I take? Well, you don't need much. Just a little bit. Just a little dash on your toast, or on your oatmeal, or in your coffee, or in your tea, or in your smoothie, whatever you want to do. Just a little bit of cinnamon. Number three is MCT oil. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos on MCT oil, I've done quite a few. I highly recommend you check those out, but MCT oil is great for your blood sugars. Not only that, but MCT oil is great for weight loss. It's great for improving cognitive function. It's great for improving your mood. It's also great for supporting your immune system. And lastly, I think most people can tolerate up to 2 tablespoons a day of MCT oil. Some people can do more. It just depends upon their size and their activity level. Now, if you haven't seen my other videos on diabetes, I've done quite a few. They're excellent. I put them up right here. Check them out. If you're enjoying my content, which I hope you are, and you're applying this knowledge to your health, and you have a success, I would really appreciate you sharing your success story. So click the link down below where you can upload your success story so you can help inspire others.